Hi Sagittarius, welcome to a new feature of mine, and I'm going to be doing general tarot forecasts twice a month, at least for the time being. And I was doing them once a month. I was asking people about the love readings versus the general readings, and so I'm going to try it this way, keeping the love readings. If you're not interested in love, then you don't have to watch those, obviously. But I would like to do the general readings more often, but maybe not once a week. That might be a bit much. So I'm trying them twice a month because I would like to do, like I just did, astrology, and I'd like to do that at least once a month as well. And so I'm including these new readings, but I just don't want to bombard people with my readings just constantly either. So please pardon the dust as I kind of experiment here and see what works best for me and what seems to flow better, and see if these make my readings better or whether I will go back and just do it once a month. So this will be for the period from October 1st through the 16th, and on the 16th of October we actually have a full moon in Aries. For those of us, including me, since I'm a sun in Sagittarius, this is going to be in the 5th house. This is a general reading, so we'll just pretend everyone has the same degree points. And it will be in the 5th house of romance and creativity. Because it's a full moon, it could be endings with some sort of creative project that you've been working on. Or if you were dating, you may decide that you're not interested as much as you thought you were, or you may realize maybe somebody that you were casually talking to is really someone you're in love with. So it can work either way. You could find out about somebody that you're dating. You could find out some information. Something could come to light, so to speak. Oh, I love that card. Oh boy, do I love that card. Okay, very interesting. So the heart of the matter, or the theme for the first half of the month, is the Magician card. This is a card that is part of the major arcana. As you see, it's the number one card, the first card, but it's really not the first card. The Fool is 0. But, you know, numerology is connected to the tarot. And one is about beginnings, new beginnings. But it's also about independence, and self-mastery is really what the Magician card is all about. So it's a card about you being a conscious co-creator in whatever way is relevant for your life. So Sagittarius tends to have some of these beliefs swirling in their heads, in terms of being a fire sign, being naturally creative, and being independent. These are all things that we come into this incarnation with that kind of way of living. Now, obviously, when we're growing up, we're kind of influenced by external forces, and this can kind of throw us off our game, so to speak. And we can stop believing in ourselves. And what I see happening, and this is really beautiful because it's so unexpected, I think, is that people are starting to very quickly embody the characteristics of the magician. They really are, in many different ways. One of the greatest ways that I've seen it happen And I noticed this right after, and this is, I'm living in America, obviously. You can tell by the way I talk. And right after we had the first part of the so-called economic collapse in 2008, I was, going to my local coffee house, and I saw all these people were pinning up their businesses. They had come up with, small businesses, probably nothing really that elaborate, and they were doing things for themselves, and music lessons, tutoring, things like that. And so we can look at these external events and feel a sense of unease, or they can be seen as liberation or a liberating tool in a certain way to shake us out of our complacency. So whatever is going on in your life, you should definitely heed the call of the magician and try to figure out a way to become more aligned with your spirit. And this means by being able to do things in your own way and not have outer interference. And I feel like Sagittarians are really a sign that does not like to conform to society and likes to march to their own drummer. And so this is really the time. October is, it's a one universal month, because the 10 reduces to a 1, and then we're in a 9 universal year. So that's going to be another 1, okay? And that means that it's a time to take action. We have the Mercury retrograde behind us, and this is a really good time. Libra is the sun sign for most of the month. There's a lot of, Libra is a cardinal sign, so it's an initiator. Also, we have Jupiter going into Libra. Jupiter is our ruler, our sun's ruler. By the way, this is also for Sagittarius rising, and I should have said that at the beginning. Probably some people may have not even, I hope they didn't click off of it because they thought that it wasn't for the rising sign. So definitely if Sagittarius is your ascendant, it's for sure your ruler. But we also talk about the sun sign and the ruler. So we look at Libra, and Libra is a sign that's a cardinal energy. It's a take charge kind of an energy, and the magician is a take charge kind of card. So this is kind of like the overall flavor of the month. Now, why? What is the past influence that has kind of made us this way? The seven of wands. Oh, that's a fiery energy. Now, this is, like I said before about the love readings, that I was a little bit concerned about having love readings because sometimes the general readings can speak about relationship issues. But I'm not going to like kind of focus entirely on that, but I will acknowledge that for some of the Sagittarians watching this, you may be liberating yourself from a relationship, and the magician may be kind of symbolizing that liberation. And you may have been in a relationship possibly with a fellow fire sign, so Aries, Leo, or another Sagittarius person who, now if we look at the qualities of the Seven of Wands, it's the person is in a defensive posture. So it could be actually a fire sign, or it could be somebody that you felt you were always defending yourself against. And I have said this before because I read this in a book, and I wish I could remember which book it was. I read so much, and over the years I've just kind of amassed all of this knowledge, but I can't always give you the footnotes. But basically it said that if you find yourself on the defensive in a relationship, that relationship is probably toxic. And that makes perfect sense to me. So this person is kind of fending off attack. Some of you may have felt that way. Now, it could have been in the workplace also, but whatever, you finally decided that you did not want to be constantly defending yourself. And definitely in the workplace, that can happen as well. You can be, have a boss that is very critical, is very never satisfied. And so you are taking charge. Now, if this is a work situation, you may be deciding to work for yourself so that you're totally responsible for what happens. And you don't have to have that outer person kind of scrutinizing you, telling you, whether or not you're okay. And that's the kind of thing that would get under a Sagittarian skin, because we are very independent people, and we feel like when we're really into what we're doing, we are not going to be shoddy. We are going to put our all into it. And I think that most of us have the confidence to be able to accept criticism, but not unfair criticism. And sometimes people are criticizing because of their own unhappiness. It has nothing to do with you. When someone needs to correct you because you do need self-improvement, when they're in a good state of mind, their intention is pure, they will do so in a manner that is very, sensitive. They're not going to just rip you a new one, treat you like you're not okay, that you're, inadequate. And that is the difference. And you can kind of see the difference in the spirit of somebody who is really trying to be genuine in getting you to improve, rather than just, degrading another person. But in either case, the near future sees this energy, which is the King of Wands. This is this would be us in control, in the most, in terms of career, in the most powerful position possible. So you can see the contrast between the past and the future, where one person is defending himself and the other is, in that self-mastery and able to, and because the wands, they relate to fire signs, but that's connected to creativity and including business. And also in personal relationships, it's a very passionate affair or relationship, but it's a mature energy. It's not like a rash, like a Knight of Wands type of energy. There's a control involved. So it's really, those are very positive cards, the Magician and the King of Wands. Now, what is crossing us? The Three of Cups. Now, this isn't really that big of a deal in terms of crossing. This can be really about, I think, over-socializing. So if you, let's say you did leave a, restrictive or toxic relationship, and now you're calling up all your friends and wanting to go out a lot, it could just be that you're going to go the other direction. Maybe you were in a very controlled environment, so now you're kind of letting your hair down, but you have to make sure that you don't go overboard in the opposite direction. The other thing too is, I think, about being too much concerned with telling everybody your business in a lot of ways. Now, this would be more of your emotions because it's related to cups. But even, I do believe in sharing your feelings for sure, and always being open that way. But sometimes, if you were in a negative relationship, sometimes people enjoy presenting themselves as victims, and maybe they get sympathy, maybe they get attention, and it really is against the energy or the spirit of the Magician. The Magician is about self-mastery, and this is on all levels of being, not just in terms of your physical environment, but also in terms of how you process the experiences that you have. So if you're the type of person who, when you have a negative relationship issue, if you call your friends and you're always complaining about it, or it could be like, let's say a job situation, that really puts your energy outside of yourself. And there's a lot of things that can happen that are not productive. First of all, you're becoming influenced by other people's conditioning, opinions, reactions to whatever is happening. And they're going to give you their 2 cents, but it may not be appropriate for your situation. And you may be influenced by it, or you could be, if it's not inspired by them, you could actually be discouraged by their reaction to your situation. Like, for instance, if you complain about your boss and you tell a friend about how all these terrible things that your boss did to you, or your coworkers, and your friend may be very afraid, fear-based about not having money, and your friend might say, "Oh, you have to stay in that job because the economy is really bad," and and would discourage you from trying to do something on your own, or anything that would kind of threaten your quote-unquote security. And that might influence you because they may bring up some aspect that kind of aligns you with that fear, and then you were kind of working yourself up to quit, and then you decide, yeah, she's probably right, I better stay in this situation. So just watch out for that tendency to kind of put things out there. Other people are not living your life. They do not have your, you have your own course to your own path to follow, and nobody else can, there's no such thing as a carbon copy life. What other people think is really not important, even your best friend, even your spouse. I shouldn't say it doesn't count, because you have to take into account other people's opinions about something, especially if the person and you are in a close relationship, or your children or whatever. Yes, of course you have to bring them into the equation, but I'm talking about just people that are not connected to you on a very deep level, in terms of you live under the same roof or something like that. If they're your friends, even if you've known them for 50 years, they still have their own path, and it's not necessarily going to mesh with yours. And you can certainly, if you have friends that are very wise, and those people are likely going to be a lot less black and white about things, and you will know who is a very good confidant by the kind of wisdom that they give you. But in most cases, people are kind of going to tell you things based upon their own consciousness, and it's possible to get along with somebody and have completely different ideas of life. And so it's this card is just kind of talking about outer forces, and maybe they could create complications in your life. Now, the advice is the moon card. Again, I told you about that full moon that we're having. It could be that if you are having relationship problems, maybe you will find something out at the time of the full moon. It could be that the full moon is a culmination of something else that you've been working on. The moon also relates to creativity. So for those that are artistic in some way, maybe you are supposed to be working on your art, and maybe you've been kind of putting it on the back burner for some reason, and now is the time to really kind of make progress. But it can also just mean a time of spirituality for you. Maybe you have been kind of outer, the wands are an extroverted energy, and maybe you haven't taken time to kind of go within, to, not just be ambitious or things of that nature. Maybe you've kind of neglected your spiritual life. Maybe you haven't been meditating lately or reading spiritual texts that inspire you on a deeper level. And maybe you need to do that. For some people, it could be saying you don't know all the facts. Realize that. When you make any decision, if you make any decision, don't be deluded into thinking that you know everything about it, because you might not. And you may be operating under a false premise. And but I feel that if you take charge with your life and you take responsibility for your life, that's much less likely to be the proper interpretation for you, because the moon can be delusions that, so that means something that you lie to yourself about. But if you are taking charge of your life, then you're not going to allow yourself to be kind of hoodwinked, because you're going to see things clearly. And, people who do lie to themselves, it's because they really don't want to live in reality. They're not accepting reality. They're not accepting responsibility for their own actions and their own perceptions even. That's how far it goes. So don't be that person. See things as they really are. The outcome is a Page of Wands. More fire energy, message, likely a message that makes your heart sing, something that makes you jump up and down, some exciting news. The birth of something that you've been wanting to start. So you might be launching something. You may be launching a new business. Maybe it's a blog that is, because it's messages. Maybe it's something where you're writing. Maybe it's a novel. And that reminds me, I need to get my blog up in October. Maybe in that first half of the month I should do that. So in any case, Sagittarius, I love a lot of these cards. I really do, and I hope you did too. If you'd like a private reading, there's a link to my website right below this video. Otherwise, have a great first half of October. Bye.